Nihon Falcom is a Japanese video game company that is turning 25 this year. They were established in 1981, sometime in March, unknown online as I have researched. Now, it's a company that a lot of people probably haven't heard of. Ys and the Legend of Heroes series is probably the two things that may, bring it to mind, but they have a lot of games out there. But it's kind of hard to find a lot of these games. Most of their games never came to the West or even left Japan in general. They didn't go to any territories. And a lot of them are on obscure consoles like the PC 8801 and stuff like that. And they began as they didn't know what they wanted to do. They made like strategy games, they made some mahjong and some other sports things, and then they kind of finally found their match with RPGs, and they kind of made the fundamentals of action RPGs. So for this anniversary retrospective, I found 7 interesting games from them that are very easy to track down in a sense. So let's get right to it. First up, we have Gurumin, a Monstrous Adventure. This is a PSP game. It's a port from the original version, which came out in 2004 for PCs, and this version released in America on February 13th, 2007. This is an action RPG starring a little girl named Perrin, who went to go live with her grandfather in a town with no kids, and she discovers a small child, which no one can see because it's a monster. She invites her to this village, and gives us this powerful drill because some bad monsters attack them, and the plot evolves from there. But it's an action RPG. You have this drill, you can break rocks with it, you can slash monsters with it. Very, very cute design. The camera's kind of a little wonky on this PSP version. I do like it a lot, the cute charm of everything. Maybe the story isn't quite there and it goes on a little bit too long for some stuff, but it's an interesting RPG to be sure, because a lot of their games is more kind of serious and doesn't really take place in the real world. It's more like a fantasy thing. So this one is a cool take on fantasy in reality. Next we have Legacy of the Wizard, which is part of the Dragon Slayer series. This NES port arrived in 1989 in April in America. It too is an action RPG, but it's quite unique. You get to choose an assortment from the family members, or at least it seems like an assortment of family members, in this commune, and then you seek your adventures out in a dungeon below. Each character has their own distinct skills. Some are magic, some are more range-based, some are just up close and personal. You can even be like this weird grandfather type thing. There are some characters that seem cooler than others, but it's just like a dungeon explorer beneath your home. It's, very quaint NES 8-bit graphics. The music's kind of cool. It's just a nice little exploratory game. I actually had quite a bit of fun with this. It's almost a little Metroid-ish, maybe a little bit, but yeah, it's definitely worth a look into. And here we have The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel. This is the latest release that just happened in 2015 in December, at the very end of the year. So it's kind of, left a weird mark in a lot of gamers' histories, because December is kind of a weird thing because people are making their games of the year lists. Anyway, this is the latest to come to America in the Legend of Heroes series. There is a lot of games in the series, so I just decided to, bring up the one that I played most recently. That might be in some gamers' minds, but the Legend of Heroes, it's like Final Fantasy, like a lot of their series, where it's just the name and maybe a couple of tones in the stories or the gameplay, but it's mostly unique experiences. This one, it takes place in like this militaristic academy. It's a turn-based battle system. They're all pretty good. They are very, very niche. They are very near and dear to a very small crowd of people here in America. Me, it has not captured quite enough, but I really want to dig more into Trails of Cold Steel, because I want to see what everyone is talking about, and since this is the latest one, But from what I played for it, it's good. I like it. I don't know. I don't want to expand too much in it, but so far, I'm liking it. Next, we have Nayuta no Kiseki for the PSP, and this is the first one that has never come to America at all. It's something we'll be seeing as we move later on. But this was released in July 26, 2012. It is a spin-off to the Legend of Heroes series, but it's not technically considered part of the main series. It takes place in the same universe, but unlike those games where it's more turn-based, this is action-oriented, more along the lines of Ys, which if you see at the end, you'll be like, oh, that looks exactly how an Ys game plays. So, with all these games, with Dragon Slayer and Legend of Heroes and Ys, it all kind of combines together. It's all like the same thing. I mean, I'm not trying to boil it down, but because it comes from the same developer, a lot of the same ideas, etc., etc. Another adventure type game, there's like a wizard and kidnaps, I'm not really sure. Anyway, there's a great English patch for this game that I have implemented, and it is a fantastic game. I really, really like it. I guess technically, if this is kind of part of the Legend of Heroes series, I like this better than the other one that I'm playing right now. But yeah, it's been long sought after for an actual English translation. And Summon Night 5 came out last year, or is it this year? It came out recently for the PSP, an actual UMD boxed edition. So, never say never, I guess. Here we have one of my favorite systems of all time, the Super Nintendo, of course, with Popful Mail, which was released in 1994. And as you can see, it's in Japanese. There's no translation really out for this. So you are a female warrior and you're fighting stuff. It's a side-scroller, so it looks very similar to a lot of the early Dragon Slayer series and a lot of the early Ys stuff. It is a cool game, very, very cutesy. Everything seems to be more of a chibi kite in nature, you know, very deformed, very cute. And it's fun. Even though I don't know what's happening, because it's an action side-scroller, it's, you can get through it, you know, but there's some things in cases of shops and stuff where I have no idea what's happening. But, hopefully, maybe something will come out with this eventually, a patch. I think there's a community working on it. For now, you'll just have to go Japan only. Now, here is Venge Master Portable, which is a port for the PSP. There's a lot of PSP games on this list, isn't it? It is from the PC, as it's one of the very few Japanese companies that makes games, seemingly primarily for PC. Anyway, so the Vantage Master, you are a collection of a fantasy world. You can battle yourself in this tactical RPG, but it's more you summon monsters or other allies to fight for you, basically. It is the weakest thing on here, I gotta say. It takes a long time for battles to really get going, and there's just nothing happening for me that I really care about. Again, this one is in Japan only, so it's kind of hard to get through some of the menus and stuff, but it's just, I don't know, maybe it was a language barrier that I was having trouble with, but it's just, whatever. It's cool to see them have something else in this huge repertoire, but it's an RPG nonetheless, I guess. And finally, the piece de resistance, we have Ys, which this one is The Oath in Felghana, which is a PSP remake of the third game in the franchise, which was released in 2010. Now, this game is the first Ys game that I ever played. I guess technically the first Nihon Falcom game that I've ever played. And it is fantastic. I think I saw some stuff. I don't want to go back in my mind and be like, oh yeah, I totally knew what Ys was, because I did. I've heard of Ys before. I saw like, I believe the DS one and some other ones came out for it. And a lot of them got like poor reviews, but that's because they were bad ports, I guess. And so like I ignored the game, the series for a long time until this one came out. And it was just like critically acclaimed. I found it very cheaply, I believe, when I bought this. And I was just like, I guess I'll give it a try. And I was just flabbergasted how awesome this is. It is like a more action-oriented Zelda, and the main character he is going throughout this entire series. It's the same character. It's not like a reimagined Link. It's like, oh, this is a Link from another time or whatever. No, this is the same guy. He's going through all these adventures, and he's basically stripped Metroid style at the beginning of each adventure. Like, you have amnesia, or you lost your equipment in the sea battle, or whatever. And yeah, it's an awesome series. And I think if you're looking, the third one here is probably the easiest to really pick up and play. I think you can buy it digitally on PSN, but yeah, I love, and ever since then I've been trying to play a lot of these other games. And for me, this is exactly what Nihon Falcom was about. Falcom Punch! But yeah, it's if I recommend any one of these games, it's gotta be the Oath of Felghana above any of these other ones. If you want something very similar in Legend of Cold Steel, you know, that came out very recently. I believe that's on Vita as well, so yeah, but all these games, you know, they share the same exact thing. They're mostly action-oriented RPGs, or they're just RPGs in general. And, you know, Square Enix has branched out and made a ton of different games, but bread and butter, it's RPGs. It's great to, you know, see a kind of a niche developer still out there, because a lot of them kind of, you know, disappear, but they're making a name for themselves, so I dig it. I totally dig your style. Ys, Falcom, whatever. So that was just a taste of the company. Nihon Falcom, I appreciate everything you're doing. Hopefully you bring more games to America as the future goes forward. But for now, I wish you a very fun 25th anniversary. And that concludes my brief retrospective. See y'all next time. Boom, ba-jack, boom, boom, ba-jack, boom, ba-jack, boom, boom, ba-jack.